Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our next episode with our guest, Lori Dawson, here on the Blast of Cash Master Series, where we are committed to sharing secrets to getting cash fast in your business. I'm your host, Leslie Hassler, with your Biz Rules. Now, Lori is joining us today to really talk about some no-cost, low-cost marketing strategies. And one of the reasons why I felt so passionate about Lori being on our show today is because in our conversation, it became evident that Lori looks for the solutions to make something happen, not really focusing on what she doesn't have in her back pocket, in her bank account, in whatever way she might be up against a problem. She finds the solutions to really being able to move her business forward and being able to move her clients' businesses forward. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. So Lori Dawson is the savvy real estate investor, and we're going to find out a lot about that. But Lori and her husband have a successful real estate company that they founded early in 2003. And I'm going to read some of my notes down here. So really, that company that they had went from zero to owning 28 homes worth over $7.5 million. And that was just done in 3 years, which is phenomenal. And they did that all without using their own money or credit. So that should be piquing your ears up right then and there, that there's something here that if you are struggling with cash in your business that you can learn from Lori, and I'm really excited about that. But the reason that this is important, and Lori will kind of share with us her expertise, is that because a lot of people don't think that it's possible to invest in real estate. I'm going to say for our purposes, a lot of people think it's not possible to really be strong in marketing without investing a lot of money. Sure, money helps, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. So what Lori's also going to be able to share with us is that she knows how painful it is to really lose money and to lose business. And the worst thing that can happen to any of us is that our businesses go under. And when that happens, our world changes, right? All those dreams and plans start to go away, and all this doubt and fear and self-criticism kind of comes in. And Lori kind of knows this personally. So when the bottom fell out of the market in 08 and 09, her company really went with it in a lot of respects. And she and her husband used all the strategies, all the expertise that they had learned in building that reservoir of $7.5 million worth of investments to hang on for as long as they could. But sometimes that doesn't work. And eventually they ran out of money and they lost everything. This is important, and I was recently having a dinner with some very accomplished entrepreneurs. We all have this happen. Even people that have great successes have this happen, and I want you to feel, really realize that you're not alone is the bigger part, and that if Lori can build back her business, which she has done, if I can build back my business, if all of our speakers can, so can you. And that's really the hope and the promise of this Master Series. So I don't want to, there's more to Lori's story, there's more to the fabulousness of her and the genius that she has, but I want to bring her in and I want to invite her to share a little bit with her, and then we're going to really get in and dive into really what you can do to market your business even when you are low on funds. So with that, Lori, I'm going to click on you. Welcome to the Blast of Cash Master Series. I'm so excited.
Thanks, Leslie. Thanks for inviting me. This is great.
Oh, great. I'm excited to have you here. Like I said, I want to start off with, can you share with our listeners just a little bit more of who you are and some of what you hope to be able to share with us today?
Sure. My husband and I have both been self-employed for like 30 plus years. We won't talk about exactly how many. But when I met and married my husband, he was a contractor. So we've always been self-employed like our entire married lives. And I started out my career as a medical lab technician. And then once I married Jim, it's like, you know, I've always worked with him in his business, and eventually went back to school and became a massage therapist. And so between his business and mine, it's like we've learned an awful lot about marketing and how to create cash flow.
So when we started talking about this Blast of Cash Master Series and everything that we were looking to accomplish in it, it seemed to really light a fire for you, and you got very passionate about this. And we were having conversations about what's going on in your world and your entrepreneurial story. And you just started sharing just all of these wonderful ideas. So I want to get to those ideas, but I want to start with when you feel like you don't have the cash reservoir to really build and market your business, what are some of those biggest challenges that you see entrepreneurs face?
Well, especially in some of the business networking groups that I've been a part of, it's like the thing that breaks my heart is when I see someone who is brilliant at what they do, they have a really cool business, and they're virtually invisible, like nobody knows about them. They're like a best-kept secret. And one of my business coaching clients was a lady who had a residential cleaning company. She had been in business for 10 years and had never taken home a paycheck. And so when I asked her what she was living on, it was like literally an inheritance from an uncle. So in 30 days, we had her taking home a paycheck. And all we really did was just, it was all about the marketing, to tell you the truth. She had no idea how to present herself, how to talk about her business and what she did. And she wasn't really doing anything for marketing other than word of mouth. And so I showed her some ways that she could market herself without having a huge marketing budget, and it really turned her business around.
There are a couple things you talked about here that I just want to kind of share. You said she was relying on word of mouth, but she had no marketing. When you have a business that's really trying to go up, word of mouth is great marketing. You have to build a base for that to generate itself. And I think we think it's going to like magically happen, that suddenly people are going to start talking about us, but we haven't put in that effort to build the base, to let people know who we are, and like you were saying, your best kept secret. So I love that you brought that in, because I think it's a valid point that if somebody is struggling, and while we all know that word of mouth marketing really works, you have to give them something to talk about first.
Right, yeah.
So I love that you shared that. If we get into some of these lower cost, no cost marketing strategies, what do you see as being some of the most effective things that we can do to start marketing ourselves?
Well, a lot of it depends on what kind of a business you have, and whether your business is dependent on like geographically local people to come into your business, or whether you're set up to have a virtual business where you can reach anyone all over the country. So there's very different marketing strategies, kind of depending on what your business type is, where it's located, and where your clients are coming from. For her, she was kind of like a brick and mortar business, but working from home. Had employees coming to her office to work from there. And so for her particular industry, she had been told that the best possible marketing method was to put door hangers on doorknobs in communities where she felt like her ideal clients lived.
Okay.
And so what she would have done on her own was put out one door hanger and hope for business. And what really needed to happen was that she sent at least 5, if not more, to the same neighborhood over and over and over, until she kind of got their attention. And because people, when they see something the first time, they don't always pay attention to it, and then the second time, and then the third time, and then the fourth time, and then it starts to become familiar, and it kind of like comes into their radar, where they're actually thinking about what they're seeing and becoming conscious of it. Because at first it can be kind of unconscious. It's like they notice it but not really. And so part of it is being able to hit those same customers over and over and over again. And then the second thing that we did, as far as like the low cost, no cost, was I said, you don't have to pay for those doors to put them out yourself. You can partner with someone else, another business who shares your idea, but is not competing. It's complementary, not compete. And you can actually ask them if they want the cost of the marketing if you and your team put the door hangers out. And so she did that. So her business was on one side, and another business was on the back side, and the person on the back side was the one that paid the entire cost for the whole marketing campaign.
Let me stop and ask you a question here. So really what you're suggesting is the power of partnership,
Yes.
The value of sweat equity. So when you're looking at identifying a potential, tell everyone this idea is huge. Forget that it Just
Right.
think about anything. It's a webinar if you're online, it's a newsletter, those things are. This idea really can work across mediums.
Any
But
type of marketing, this will work.
so when it comes to what are you going to look for? Well, who makes ideal candidates for this kind of, from
Yes.
a philosophy standpoint?
Right. So it's someone, owner, who shares the same ideal clients that you do, but they have a completely different business that does not compete with yours.
And I think in our discussion we also that they're probably at a point in time to where they're maxed out on the time aspect. Love to have marketing, but they have no time to be able to do it.
Yes, they be really effective themselves, that they need to have consistent marketing, but you're right, they just don't have the time or the to put that together and do it on their own. So it becomes a win-win situation, because for the person who has more time than money, they can be the ones to do that, what you call the sweat equity type work, where they're the ones making it happen. And then it's the one that has no time that is the one that's actually footing the bill for the marketing campaign. And another point, and a level of time over at least a 90-day period, because the consistency of
that's a great point to add in. I want people to see the evolution and the fact that there's consistency, this repetition that has to happen. We've had several speakers talk about some of the biggest challenges is that we tried one thing once and feel like it didn't work, so we don't try again and we abandon something that could be very valuable for our businesses. So continue on with her story and share with us what happened, next and how this changed her business.
On her first go-around with this new marketing campaign that we came up with, she was too shy. She's and she was kind of intimidated by going and asking someone else to pay for her marketing. Quite wrap her head around that. So I asked her what level of investment she felt like she personally could sustain 3 months in a row, and it was $50. $50 a month. So that's not a big, huge marketing. So she put out as many door hangers as she could, that cost her $50 a month for the labor and the materials. And I told her that because she was only putting out a few, because they were costing her about $1 a piece, so we're talking about 50.
Okay.
And so she put out 50 the first month, and she houses over and over again with those 50. And I told her any kind of a return on her effort in that first month, because the ratio that she could kind of expect to have, the batting average that she could expect to have, is out of 100 that would call her and inquire about her service. So, if you didn't know that, you might think that you put out 50 and you got no response and it was a failure and that door hangers don't work, right?
Exactly.
So she put it out the first time, and guess what happened?
Nothing.
Nothing. But she was okay with that because I had told her about that in advance. So then she put out another 50 the next month to the same houses. And she got, I think it was 3 calls and 2 new clients. And that was the beginning. And once she had that belief and that trust that this was actually going to work, now she had the confidence to go and approach people about forming a strategic marketing partnership. So she went around and she found, she was part of a BNI group. And so she went around and found 2 or 3 other members in her group that she already knew, that she felt like would be a good fit. So remember that her business was a residential house cleaning company. So there was another gentleman in the group who cleaned windows, and he would do windows on the inside, windows on the outside, mirrors, hard to reach chandeliers, like all the things she did not want her ladies on her doing, right?
Yeah.
So she put him on the back of some of her door hangers, and he was really struggling to get started too, and so he couldn't afford to be on the back of every single one. So he paid for a few, and then she went and found a couple of other people who could pay for a few, and so pretty soon she's putting out like a couple hundred every month.
Oh.
And she's getting more and more responses. they're starting to get some responses because, again, she's hitting each house like 5 times, and then she would move to another subdivision. And I think she had 3 subdivisions targeted that she wanted to put these out in. So she would do one 5 times, and then she'd rotate to the next one, do that one 5 times, and then go to the third one 5 times, and then start over with the first one again. So that was kind of her overall game plan. And so she might have anywhere from 3 to 5 different businesses who were on the back, depending on how much they could afford to pay for. But meanwhile, she's getting out $200 a month for free.
That's huge.
It is huge.
And I think what the value is, and this is what I see with a lot of my clients, is everyone, and because we're entrepreneurs, we think really big, right? And we let go of sometimes the small things, the small steps that really start to build momentum in our business. So I mean, here we have a lady that could only afford $50 for door hangers. Through your advice, found some partners that could help that subsidize the entire thing, grew it into such a way that she could do, quadruple that number, plus do multiple mailings, plus develop a whole strategy, all from a very, 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 very simple marketing strategy.
Right.
Do you know, or do you remember how much business that generated for her?
Oh, yes. She had a couple of other problems in her business that we addressed as well, because I actually had her come over to clean my house for me, and she started the conversation with all the things that she would not do for me.
Oh, nice.
And so I had a little chat with her about that. And there were some things that clients were asking for that she would say no to. And so we talked about how to never say no to a client. If someone's willing to pay you to do something, how much would they have to pay for you to be willing to provide that service for them that you're capable of, that they're asking for? So, like, never say no to money. And to make it really super easy for them to do business with you. Like, no barriers to having a really cool relationship with each other and having it be a win-win. So we tweaked a few things in her business, and she went from, like, she had an attrition rate at that point when I first started working with her. She would consistently lose 2 clients a month who weren't happy with her.
Oh, wow.
And that's so hard. So she had to get 2 new clients every month before she could get a third, so that she could actually have growth. So she didn't have the growth that she needed every month, and so her income was inconsistent, and it was bouncing up and down. It could vary as much as like $2,000 a month. It was a big bounce. So we did that. And so between her consistent marketing and her new approach to taking really good care of her clients and never saying no, she decided eventually that she didn't want to have partners on the back of her door hanger cards anymore. So she wanted to have herself on both sides. And it just so happened that at the time when she had enough money to be able to do that and made that decision, that it was almost Christmas time. And so we had this brainstorming session, and we came up with this idea. What if we put an elf list on the back of her door hanger with all the additional services that she's capable of providing, that she doesn't normally offer, that people could opt in for an even higher investment? And it was like a one-time thing. They didn't have to pay for it every month. Well, long story short, the elf list was a smashing success. And so she had way more income coming in at the holiday time that year, and she was able to do some things with her family that she never thought would be possible for her. One of her big goals was she wanted to be the first person in her family to exceed a 6-figure income. She wanted to go over that $100,000 a year mark. And what I didn't know, and she told me later, was that she had worked with 4 or 5 other coaches, including a woman who owned $1 million residential cleaning company, just like hers, but like $1 million income. She had worked with all those people and had never been able to get those results. And we had her taking home a paycheck. Remember, she didn't have a paycheck before. We had her taking home a paycheck in 30 days. And 10 months after we started working together, she called me crying at 11 o'clock one night, and she said, "I don't think you have any idea what we've done here." And I said, "No, please tell me." She said, I have not followed your advice and hired any additional teams. So she just had 2 teams of 2 ladies each that she would send out to clean houses. So what that meant was she had not what's the right word? Increased her overhead. Like her overhead was still the same,
Right.
but she had doubled her income.
Wow.
She was more efficient. She had happy customers. She wasn't losing 2 a month. She was gaining 2 or 3 a month. And we had done some things with her scheduling so that she could fit more people in every month. So without having to add teams or vehicles or anything to her overhead, she made an extra $100,000 that year.
So what I love about the story, is it shows a progression, really, of where somebody started with making a commitment to a marketing strategy and growing that marketing strategy. It showed the fact that there was an increase in cash quickly, but
Yes.
there was a massive increase in cash. I'm sorry, anything you can do in your business under a year to get to that is massive. And if you
Yes.
don't think it is, you need to reset those adjustments. That big changes can happen, but they do take some time. You know, they do take the 10, and we're focused on, blast of cash and quick things here, but I want people to see the value of having that quick cash, that quick infusion of cash, and then growing that marketing strategy in a way that results into bigger money down the way. So it talks about simplicity, it talks about commitment, it talks about leverage, and I love every bit of that. And I love that was kind of a brick and mortar, still service-based, but very one-on-one kind of a marketing strategy. I'm wondering, and we hadn't talked about this, so I'm kind of springing it on you, but when it comes to the online world, if we've got people that are coaches and speakers and things of that nature that really need, how would this translate into that arena? Do you have any ideas that you could share with us?
Possibly. It's not as clearly my area of expertise, but one thing I wanted to circle back around and connect a couple of dots on is that this is not a woman who was just starting a business and had no clients. This is a woman who had an established client base who was able to make those big of numbers that quickly. So I don't want anybody who's just getting started and has a few clients to feel like they're going to be able to necessarily go out and just crush it like that. She'd been in business for 10 years. She had built a solid client base, so that makes a difference. So as far as online, correct me if I'm wrong about this, because again, I'm not the online marketing expert, but really all you're doing is with your online marketing is the same thing as the door hangers that she used. You're just reaching out and connecting people and letting them know who you are, what you do, what you have to offer, and why they would want to work with you. It's just a different medium. So the strategies and the concepts are exactly the same. So let's say, for example, that you decide in your business that you want to run Facebook ads, and that costs money. Well, could you not form a strategic relationship with someone who, again, has a business where their ideal client and your ideal client are a really good match? You're basically looking for the same people, and they have a completely different service or product that they offer than what you have. And they've got more money than time. You've got more time than money. And could you not form a win-win relationship where they pay for the Facebook ads and you share the leads?
That's a great idea, because I could just see that as you were talking, how easy it is to put sponsored by, fill in the entity.
Yes.
And sponsored by so-and-so, so that they're getting exposure as well. And I know I agree with you, which is kind of why I put you on the spot. I think what happens is that we try to overcomplicate our world, and we forget about the good business sense that has made business work for years. 4 years. And some days we go for the new and shiny, and we kind of pass over that old faithful penny. And the point I wanted, and you brought up eloquently, was that these same strategies work across the medium. You just have to tailor them to the medium. So I enjoy that you shared that kind of with us in that statement, because I agree. I think the opportunity is endless in kind of the environments. So,
Leslie, the temptation for someone who's has an online marketing focus is to kind of hide out behind their computer and to hope that the clients are going to magically appear.
It is.
And the truth is that you can have the most beautiful website in the world, the most beautiful Facebook page in the world, but you've got to do something to drive traffic to that so that you can actually convert that into cash.
What I'll share with you is that at a conference I was just recently at, one of the tweetable moments was that face likes never paid the bills.
Right.
Yeah, Facebook likes never paid the bills, so that kind of speaks right into that element there. So I'm just taking a minute to look at some of my questions. So I think we've given a lot of tactical tips and a lot of examples, but and we've talked about what's worked for your clients. So maybe let's just clarify, because you started down that road, what are really some of the mistakes that we're making when it comes to trying to implement no-cost or low-cost marketing strategies? Like you were just saying, we hide behind our computer,
right,
and try to make things a little overly complicated. Do you have any others that we might learn from?
Yes. So the temptation is, so for example, in our business, we buy, fix up, rent, and sell houses. We're real estate investors.
Right.
And so our primary marketing method is direct mail, because we are mailing a series of 8 letters to people who are in foreclosure and are up against the possibility of losing their homes. And we have some solutions for that. So the biggest mistake that I see, whether it's Mary, the lady who's the house cleaner, and she's putting out the door hangers, or whether it's us in our business sending out the letters, the temptation is that once the clients start coming in and we start getting busy, now we don't have time to do marketing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so then that creates another crisis in our business, because we stop marketing, we take care of the clients that have come in, and then pretty soon there's no more clients coming in to take care of because we've stopped our marketing. And so it's like this horrible up and down, cycle that happens. So the key is that whether you're doing it yourself, or whether you then get to the point where you hire someone to help you with the marketing, or whether you find a new business owner and you teach them the strategies that you use to get started, where you're collaborating with them and you're having them do the work and you're putting up the money, now you can be on the other side, right? Because you've got more money than time. And so, but the key is to keep the marketing going consistently, month after month after month after month, because we all need not only our existing clients coming back and word of mouth clients coming in by referral, but we need brand new marketing, brand new clients coming in that we've never worked with before, to keep our business alive and thriving and prospering and growing. And that really is the key.
That is a huge share, and it's one, my prior business to your Biz Rules was a high-end interior design firm, and the chances that you would have a client doing multiple projects in a year was low, and the chances that they would come back, depending, the bigger your project is, the longer time it would be before they came back to do a repeat one. So we always had to have new marketing and new clients, and you had to have freshness to it in order to build a critical mass. When businesses crash, and my business hurt at that time, that was the thing I saw as being the difference. The thing I saw as being the difference was the people that consistently marketed and did not cut that marketing, would rather delay starting a new client than cut their marketing. Those are the businesses that have strength. Those are the businesses that kept their financials even, as so much more so than everyone else in the market. So that was a huge share, huge share. So when it comes, I think you've shared a lot with us, but when it comes to what's the best advice that you could share with our listeners to create that blast of cash, what would you add to everything you've said?
That's a good question, Leslie, because it's great to have lots of marketing, and it's great to have lots of new clients coming in, but the next question is, are you prepared to handle an increased level of clients and an increased level of work? So systems become critically important. So one thing that when I'm doing business coaching and I'm working with a client, one thing I have them think about is imagining what is the ideal experience that you would like your clients to have as they're doing business with you, and then creating it can be just as simple as checklist. It doesn't have to be anything complicated, but it's like, how will you consistently deliver that kind of an experience so that they will want to keep coming back, and so that they feel comfortable and safe in sending you their friends, family, work associates, new client referrals. And so systems are critically important, because they are what forms like the bones or the structure of your business, and allow you to then, with that structure in place, be able to work your magic.
That's key. There's been an element of sustainability that has come up a couple times in today's conversation, and I know I counsel my clients as well as in my own business, because we can come up with grand ideas, and the number one thing I always ask myself is this sustainable? If I have 3 times as many clients, could I still do this? And if the answer is no, I don't do it. I don't start, because the risk that you run is creating a fabulous experience for a client, not being able to sustain it, and then disappointing a client. And that's death.
Right.
The disappointment is what you can't afford. So I want to do that. When it comes to really being able to get fast cash in your business, so what you do as a practice for yourself, what have you found to be your fastest path to cash?
So if we're talking like my real estate investing business, which I actively do, where we're sending out marketing letters and we're buying houses, it's the consistency in the marketing, because when we do that consistently and we're getting those letters out is when we're getting the calls, and we're getting the opportunity to go out and buy someone's house and turn that into fast cash. When it's on the coaching side of my business, it's always having like the next thing ready for my clients, so that they have something else to move into if they want to continue to work with me. So it's like, what do they need, and how can I put something together that's going to serve them well? And instead of we get to the end and we're done and nobody's quite sure what to do next, I've always got the next thing ready. So we can take their business to the next level and the next level and the next level.
That is a great share, because I just have had conversations this week for people that have been in coaching environments where they have basically said, and then it just ended, and I did a series leading up to here called the 7 Figures to Get You to 7 Figures. So one of those figures to know is your average sale per client. One of the strategies that you do to increase the average sale per client and the lifetime value of your client is what you just said. So I want to make some connections for people so they understand why these boring numbers are so important and really where the strength and the strategies to improve them are. So I think that's a great tip in knowing the next step for your client and being prepared with an offer for them. Serves your client a lot more than you really think. I think people are sometimes afraid to make another offer, but I've always found that your clients are better served when you have their next step ready for them.
And they have the ability to say no if it's not the right thing or the right time, and no harm, no foul, right?
Right.
But if you don't create that space for them, or that ability for them to step into the next thing, then they have nothing to move on to and nothing else to invest in. And, if you're talking about someone who's just starting up a new coaching practice and what is the fastest path to cash, that is really about simply going out and making connections with people, letting them know what you do, like what problem do you solve, what's your solution all about, what transformation do you offer, and then having a simple program. Maybe it's like a 5-call telecourse, or it's one-on-one coaching. Just something really super simple at a really reasonable price point, and just simply connecting with people, having conversations, letting them know what you do. It doesn't have to be real salesy. It doesn't have to be any hardcore sales. It doesn't matter if you think you're a salesperson or not. It's just having conversations with people, and when you hear them talking about a problem that they're having, and you can ask strategic questions to to start that conversation. But just if you could change one thing in your business, what would it be? Or if you could change one thing in your life or your relationship or whatever it is that you work with, what would it be? And you just have a simple conversation, and you say, well, great, here's what I do. and maybe I could help with that. And here's how, here's how I think I could help with that. And it's just like that simple conversation, and then being prepared to accept the money that you've said that you are asking for that service. Like, do you have your ability to receive money set up? For the brand new person, maybe they haven't thought about that yet.
Yep.
You know, you want them to write you a check? Do you want them to hand you a credit card? And how are you going to process that? I remember when I started my business, like that had never occurred to me. And so you want to think about how you can serve the client, but also how you can receive from that client. Like, are you set up and are you prepared? And it's kind of a simple little thing, but it's like it never crossed my mind. So the first time I had somebody say, well, can I give you my American Express? It's like, you know? So just little things like that. It's just, you know, think through what needs to happen in order for you to be able to deliver, and just make sure that you have all those little parts and pieces in place.
So it's that whole concept to be prepared for the yes. And I agree with you. I have found a lot of people aren't prepared for the yes, and they never even fathom that they get that far, and so they're not ready. You know, so we actually work with our clients, especially when we're trying to generate cash in a business. We're like, okay, let's go down the what happens next, what happens next, what happens next, what happens next, and I want you to be 3 to 5 steps ahead. We'll get to what happens after that when we need to, but let's plan on what happens next. Lori, you've been sharing a lot of your expertise and you know, life experience and experience with coaching clients outside of what it is that you do now. So I want to give our listeners an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you, because your free gift relates more to what you do right now. And I want them to understand the bridge and the reason why I think it's important that we spend some time sharing that with them. And the bridge is that as you go on your ladder of entrepreneurship, when you get past being a manager into an entrepreneur, into, you know, growing your business and generating wealth, then you become an investor. And I know one of my mentors is Brad Sugars, and he is completely into real estate investing and the power of growing wealth and insulating your wealth that it can have. And I know you've got you know, a heart-centered approach. That's what I've gotten from our conversations. So I want you to give them a little bit of insight into the savvy real estate investor and the two sides of your business, and then kind of go into your free gift and what you're sharing with them today.
Okay, sure. So I totally agree with the progression that you shared about eventually getting to the point where you're in the position to be an investor. But this is where my business is just a little bit different, because you don't have to wait until you're already wealthy and you have money, extra money sitting around that you want to invest and put in a safe place. You can actually create a blast of cash right out of the gate by learning how to buy, fix up, rent, and sell houses without using any of your own money or credit. So this can be in addition to what you're already doing, and it can happen right now. Like, you don't have to wait until someday when you've got wealth accumulated and need a place to put it to be able to start investing in real estate. Because real estate is the one vehicle that I know of. I don't know of anywhere else in the world that you can do this. But you can get other people to let you use their money to go out and buy property that is going to produce a profit or a stream of income. And so that ability to leverage using other people's money and credit without having to use your own is really cool. And it's not because it's like, you know, really cute and fun to not have to use your own money or credit. The reason we do that and the reason we teach that is because it eliminates all the barriers where people will typically think, well, I don't have enough money to do that, or I don't have good enough credit to do that, or I don't have a big credit line, so I can't go to the bank and get a loan because my credit is bruised. None of those things matter in my world. So we never, you know, even though we have good credit, we don't use our own credit. Good, but we don't have to. So everything that I teach, like, in fact, I've got a 3-day live event coming up in September, and it's called the Private Money Boot Camp. And this is what we're teaching, is helping people wrap their heads around the possibility that they can make a fortune investing in real estate without using any of their own money or credit. Nobody's going to run a credit check. Nobody's going to check your bank account balance. And so you can get sellers to allow you to take over their payments. And you don't have to ask anyone's permission to do that other than the seller. You don't have to call the bank. You don't have to assume the loan. And I don't want to get into anything too complicated there, but I just want to make the point that you don't have to have money, you don't have to have credit, and you don't have to wait until someday. You can do it now. Which brings us to my free gift. So my free gift to you is it's something that I put together several months ago. Because let me back up and just say that I was never, ever, ever going to teach real estate investing. That was not part of my plan. It was not something I ever thought about. And in fact, when my husband suggested it to me one time, I looked at our mentor at the time and I'm like, no, I don't like his lifestyle. I don't like his ethics. I am never going to play in that arena. And what ended up happening is I just couldn't not do it, because when you know how to do something that is so cool and so powerful, I mean, these concepts, Leslie, as simple as they sound, have literally made us millions of dollars. And so how can you walk around and if you know how to do something that's that cool and that doable for the average person, why would you not share that? And so I had all kinds of reasons why I couldn't. But needless to say, those are all blown away now. And so in March of this year, in 2014, I did my very first event ever and started teaching real estate investing. And I have clients who have invested at a very high level to work with me. And it's just been extraordinary. So what I did was I put together a really simple game plan, 5 of them actually, and that's what's included in the free gift. So it's like, if you have no money, no credit, and you love to learn how to make some money in real estate, there's a game plan for that. It's like a blueprint. Here's the methods that you can use, and here's the strategies that are involved, and here's what you can expect to make. And then, so there's one for the person who doesn't want to have to borrow any money from a private money lender, which is what we use a lot. They just go out and they get a deal. They find a deal. They get an agreement with the seller, and they take that agreement and they sell it to someone else for a fee. We call that wholesaling.
Oh, okay.
So you can do some simple wholesaling and make anywhere from $2,000 to $15,000 or even more per transaction, simply for putting the deal together and then passing that along to someone else who knows what to do with it and has the resources to manage it. To the person who wants to learn how to do fix and flips, to the person who wants to learn how to buy and hold and have tenants paying off mortgages, long-term wealth strategy. We teach all of those things. So we teach how to use private money, how to not have to use your own money, how to get sellers to finance deals for you. And then we have 4 different exit strategies. Once you bought the house, now what are you going to do with it? We've got 4 different exit strategies that we teach. So there's a blueprint there for each of the different kinds of investors in our community, as well as the different kinds of private money lenders. So some private money lenders, they fund small amounts like $20,000, $30,000 to do a deal with us, and they get a 12%. We pay them 12% monthly compounding interest on their investment, and a minimum of 6 months. So it makes it really worth their while to invest with us. And those are for our shorter term investments where we're doing a fix and flip, for example. We're just going to renovate a house and then we're going to turn around and sell it, and we're going to make a profit. And then our private lender gets paid back with the interest. And then we also have another type of relationship with lenders, what we call joint venture partners, which is where it's someone who's got more money. They've got enough to be able to pay cash for one project, the purchase, the fix-up, the holding costs, everything that's involved in that. And so there's a game plan for them. So it's we're serving people who want to be hands-on investors, and we're serving the people who have more money than time, and they want to play too, but they get to play as a private money lender, and everybody wins. So it's a pretty cool system. So that's what's in my free gift, is kind of just a real simple chart that kind of lays out a game plan for each of those different types of people who might want to come and play with us, and then an audio that goes with it to kind of explain it, because it's you can look at this piece of paper and go, I have no idea what she's talking about. There's an audio that goes with it that kind of explains it. There's even a little glossary that says, in case you didn't understand some of the terms I just used, here's what those mean.
I love that everything that we just talked about in ways to do no or low cost marketing in your business is evident to me in how you explain the real estate investing business and how you explain how you teach others to really do that. Because we have the time, I want to play the doubter here because I think it's important. But the two doubts that come to my mind is, you know what, real estate just had a horrible bust.
Yep.
And we all felt it. And then number two is, this sounds too good to be true.
Okay. Sure.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to kind of share with those two things because, again, I think these are the same mindset blocks that affect us in finding those no and low-cost strategies to marketing.
Yes. And to tell you the truth, guess where my business coaching and marketing expertise came from?
I know.
It was our real estate investing business that I was afraid to teach. So instead of teaching what I knew how to do that was really cool, I was just helping people with their businesses and their marketing because I saw a need for that. And it was like I kept, getting the tap. It's like, you need to be teaching this stuff. So now we do. All right, so to answer your question about the crash. So when the crash happened, we owned 28 houses. And for various reasons, 17 of our tenants did not pay their rent in 1 month. And I don't want to scare anybody and have people go, I'm never going to do real estate investing if that kind of stuff can happen to you. So we were new in our business and fairly inexperienced, and we kind of didn't know what to do with that. And to be quite honest with you, this is like raw authenticity, if you will. We actually, over a 2-year period, crashed and burned and lost a multi-million-dollar business. But what I will tell you is that the lessons that have come out of that for us have been extraordinary. Because the worst thing that could ever possibly happen to a business owner, and you mentioned this at the beginning of our call, the worst thing that could ever happen is that you go under. Mm-hmm. So been there, done that, got the T-shirt. Had a multi-million-dollar business go under, and it was a very, very painful experience. However, here's the important thing to know. We did not lose any of our knowledge or experience or the strategies that we had learned that helped get us there in the first place. And we could look back afterwards and we could see where we had a breakdown in our systems and what we could have done differently to have avoided that whole entire thing, because it was avoidable. Mm-hmm. And so it was partly, there's a thing about entrepreneurs where we are classic dyed-in-the-wool do-it-yourselfers. And we're afraid to hire people to help us, and we're afraid to invest in real estate attorneys that seem very expensive and all that. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. There's people who know what to do, and there's mentors that you can seek out that can help you through something like that. So mentorship is very, very important. Mm-hmm. And having a power team of people around you who can support you no matter whether you're going up, down, or sideways in your business is very important. Having really good systems is very important. Having consistent marketing is really important. I mean, all of those things are critical to the success of your business. And so, but the cool thing about this is that we rebuilt our business in half the time that took us the first time around. So remember, the first time it took us 3 years? The second time it took us 18 months. Yep. Like on the nose. Yep. So we, again, have like 25 houses worth, I don't even know what they're worth, a lot. We have a lot of equity because we used someone else's money to buy them, and we bought as the market finished correcting and started coming back up. So we bought at the lowest possible price. The values have skyrocketed, and we have this amazing piggy bank where we've got tons of equity in houses. We've started selling some of them recently. We've sold about 5 now, and so we're actually cashing in on some of that. It's not just equity. But along the way we had income too. So it's like, it's like this whole system that we do for creating bursts of cash along the way and consistent income. But the thing is that even if the worst happens and you crash and burn, which I wouldn't wish on anybody, the thing is that unless you suffer some kind of irreversible brain damage, you will not lose what you knew and what skills you developed and what systems you developed that got you there in the first place. And so once you kind of mentally recover from all of that, you can dust yourself off, pull them back out, and do it again, and in much less time. And you're going to do it better, faster, smarter, because you're not going to want to get burned again. Yep. And that's, I think that's what I
figured out and found truth for myself. Even, you know, things that took me 4 years to get right in the design business, it's a matter of 4 months in this business.
Yes.
And whereas I did it a lot more myself in the first one, man, I look at the investment of you know, a coaching or a mentor or a program and where it can catapult me forward to, because I'm more interested in getting to, you know, a high level of business quicker. And that, you know, they all kind of factor in. So you don't lose it. You know, it comes around. The crashes are unfortunately blessings in disguise that we have to go through, and there's always value because you did it once. If you did it once, you can do it again. So I love every bit of that you shared. I want to encourage our listeners to go ahead and take advantage of the free gift. Seek it out, go through it. It is an amazing kind of structure when you look at the different levels that you can do in investment and how well you have these things thought out. So if you're doubting that this is a process that can work, you really can see the structure that's behind it and the integrity that's behind it. I will let you know, just from talking with Lori before this, you know, I do kind of do pre-interviews with everyone that comes on here, and there were shifts that happened in my brain that where I didn't think something was possible, I found the possibility in changing, and like Lori was talking about, finding another way to do this. So I'm going to let you know that it had an impact on me just from our brief conversation, and that's why I was really excited. So I'm hoping that we really sparked some creative entrepreneurship in our listeners when it comes to marketing, and that cash is nice, and cash definitely makes things a little bit easier, but there are some ways that you can get some low cost and no cost strategies put to place to get your business to take off, and that's really what the goal of our master series is there. So Lori, as I do with all my guests as we start to wrap up, I'd love to offer you the opportunity to share anything else that's on your heart that we haven't discussed that feels good to you right now. So I'll go ahead and click it over.
We have one unanswered question that you asked me, Leslie, and that is, this sounds too good to be true. So let's address that one as our closing. We worried about that in the very beginning. Many of you, if you know anything about real estate investing, would know that Robert Allen has a very well-known book called No Money Down Real Estate. Mm-hmm. And so we bought that, we read it, and the question, and we went to some seminars, and the question in our mind is, you know, are these people just making a really great sales pitch, or is this really legit? Like, is this something that we could actually do? And at this point, I would have to tell you, you know, I could give you all kinds of reasons why it's possible. I could go into really complicated explanations. There's all kinds of things I could say, but I'm just going to say this. We've done it. And there's not anything that you can say to me that is going to convince me otherwise, because I am living proof that it's possible. And I know that your listeners don't know me from Adam. But we've got the checks and the credibility to prove it. What we teach works. Our students are getting results. It is possible. It is true, and it is possible. And I will tell you too that if the no money down strategies that we use didn't work, our title company would not touch us with a 10-foot pole. If we were doing anything that was wonky or illegal or scammy in any way, shape, or form. So let me just tell you that we have a real estate attorney who puts his seal of approval on everything we do. And in fact, when we started over on our business, I went and sat down with the key players in our business, like our attorney and our accountant and our escrow agent, and I said, how would you like us to set things up this time? So that there is like no question about our integrity, there's no question about what we're doing, and that you feel really comfortable supporting us. So that was my approach. And they were happy to tell me, and we actually have a little bit different structure than we had the first time around, and I like it much better because it's actually more automated for me, and it's really, really simple. And the bottom line is everything we do is closed through a title company. They insure, they put title insurance on everything. They could not do that. Their attorneys would not let them do that if it wasn't for real. So we've got all kinds of proof and credibility, but just please know that the one thing that I really want people to understand is I want to just give them a spark of possibility. Because if I can do this, I'm not anybody special. I'm not extra smart. You know, I wasn't born with a golden spoon in my mouth or family money or anything like that. I'm just an ordinary person. And if I can do this successfully, so can you. And if you'd like to learn how, I'd be happy to teach you. It's really quite simple. And my students are happy, they're getting good results, and we're having a lot of fun.
Awesome. Okay, Lori, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for providing that spark, to use your words, to really start to challenge how you think about bringing cash into your business, whether it's marketing, whether it's investing. There is more than one way to skin a cat. It's one of my favorite phrases. Yes. And so I love it when I see somebody that is really living proof of that. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and then give you an opportunity to say goodbye for our listeners.
Bye. Thank you, Leslie, so much. It's an honor to be collaborating with you on this project. I love what you're doing. So thank you for bringing this amazing message to your listeners. This is fantastic.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for that compliment. Guys, I can't tell you much more. I think that this is probably one of the deeper conversations that we've had, that you may not have the exact check-offs, but this is going to sink into your brain, and really, like I said, after my conversation with Lori, started to sink into my brain and change the way that I'm thinking. I think this is the philosophy. I think this is a way that can radically shift how you move forward in your business. And if we had more time, Lori would share how she shifts it with her clients and how she uses it really to make things happen on every level. So I want you to re-listen to this while you have the free opportunity. If you've already purchased the set, fabulous. It's an incredible, easy investment. If you haven't, $49. I mean, come on. So I won't belabor that, but take advantage of her free gift. If this sounds like something that it would work for you in your life, reach out to Lori. You've seen how awesome and wonderful and hospitable she is. This will be an easy conversation, and she would love to talk to you. So with that, I will say that's all for today, or at least for today's episode. Be sure to check back here for our next episode, and we'll see you soon.